You might think you know Super Friends, but here are 12 facts you may not have known about the legendary superpowers. Super Friends debuted on September 8, 1973, with the episode The Power Pirate. The show would run for a total of 109 episodes over 9 seasons, with the final episode, The Death of Superman, airing November 9, 1985. Although considered one show across 9 seasons, Super Friends has aired under multiple titles. It was Super Friends in 1973, the all-new Super Friends Hour in 1977, Challenge of the Super Friends in 1978, The World's Greatest Super Friends in 1979, Super Friends Again from 1980 to 1983, The Legendary Superpowers Show in 1984, and the Superpowers Team Galactic Guardians in 1985. Prior to the release of Super Friends, Superman, Batman and Robin, and Aquaman each had their own series. Superman and Wonder Woman guest starred in 2 episodes of the Brady Bunch spin-off cartoon, The Brady Kids, and 2 episodes of the new Scooby-Doo movies featured Batman and Robin as backdoor pilots for Super Friends. The show featured several notable voice actors, including the Mary Tyler Moore Show's Ted Knight as the narrator, legendary voice actor Frank Welker as multiple characters, including Marvin and Darkseid, Adam West as Batman in later seasons, radio personality and voice of Shaggy, Casey Kasem, as Robin, and the Atom Family's Ted Cassidy as Black Manta and Brainiac. The exterior of the Super Friends headquarters, the Hall of Justice, is modeled after a real building, Cincinnati, Ohio's Union Terminal, a train station which now houses the Cincinnati Museum Center, which contains a Cincinnati History Museum, a Natural History Museum, a Children's Museum, and an OmniMax theater. The first season of the show introduced a trio of sidekicks who had not appeared in the comics. The non-superpowered teens Wendy and Marvin, and their talking pet, Wonder Dog. They were replaced in Season 2 by the superpowered Wonder Twins, Zan and Jaina, and their monkey, Gleek, to emphasize that this was the all-new Super Friends. The Super Friends are most famous for battling the Legion of Doom, but this team of 13 villains and their Darth Vader head swamp base weren't introduced to the show until 1978's Challenge of the Super Friends. Before this, the Super Friends mostly battled generic mad scientists and aliens. Challenge of the Super Friends also introduced new heroes to the roster. Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkman were brought in from the comics, while new characters Black Vulcan, Apache Chief, and Samurai were invented for the show to increase cultural diversity. El Dorado was added in the 1981 season. The Super Friends show introduced Black Vulcan as a new character, despite the fact that DC had already introduced a black character with lightning powers in the comics, named, of course, Black Lightning. However, due to disputes between DC and Black Lightning's creator Tony Isabella, the producers just created a new but similar character. When Super Friends entered syndication, ABC canceled the series from its Saturday morning lineup from 1983 to 1984. Nevertheless, Hanna-Barbera continued producing new episodes at this time. These 24 lost episodes originally aired only in Australia and didn't appear in the US until 1995. The 2004 animated series Justice League Unlimited featured several references to Super Friends, most notably the Ultimates, a group of superhumans modeled on Super Friends characters. Long Shadow was Apache Chief, Juice was Black Vulcan, Wind Dragon was Samurai, and Downpour and Shifter were the Wonder Twins. DC published a comic series based on Super Friends that ran for 47 issues from 1976 to 1981. Between 1984 and 1986, they also published 3 Superpowers miniseries that tied into the last 2 seasons of the show, which were meant to help promote Kenner's Superpowers collection toy line. That's it for this episode of You Think You Know Cartoons. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more comic facts, and check out comicsalliance.com for more comics awesomeness.